as the program moderator. I'm doubling as both the program moderator and the Health and Social Services Sectoral Chairman. My name is Dr. Pamela Ajayi, and I must say a very big and warm welcome to you all, and thank you all for coming to this very important program. Unfortunately, healthcare is a subject that most people tend to take for granted until it's too late. But this is the beginning of year, and I think there have been so many issues in the press about what happens, unfortunately, to people who don't, I don't know what word shall I use, who have not been successful with their care, that it is very important that we all take the care and the time and the care to look after ourselves and to keep healthy. So, what are we talking about? We're talking about the beginning of the year. We're saying, what is our big reset? What are the things that we need to do? What difference do we need to make to our lives to keep ourselves healthy this year? And I must say that we are very, very fortunate to have our chairman, our president of the CIoD with us, Otumba Adetunji Oyebanji, FCIOD, and as well as one of our directors, Dr. Adiola Abato. They're both with us here on the program, and since we are kicking off right on time, if I could please ask our president, Otumba Oyebanji, to give his opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Palmer. Definitely, I agree with you 100% that, in fact, the way I look at it, this is probably the most important aspect of our daily lives and endeavors. And like you rightly pointed out, unfortunately, it's one of those areas where, we just keep on going sometimes until we just drop dead. And it can be very, before I make my official opening remarks, I had an experience in which I was at an event and I was actively involved in the event, but that day I had been exhausted. I had done a lot of stuff. I recognized that day I hadn't taken enough water. And at the end of I collapsed and ended up in the hospital. Not necessarily because there was any big issue, but there were some warning signs. Before I passed out, I was shouting for water, that I was dehydrated. And so we just take this stuff for granted. And we have board meetings, we plan projects, we plan initiatives, we do everything. But when it comes to talking about our health, somehow it's on the back burner. We believe we're Superman or Superwoman and we can keep on going. So I think, this webinar is very timely. It's a very important one. And that's why I decided that I would like to be here personally, to take part and to listen and hopefully get a few pointers. So in order not to waste too much time, let me read through the official speech that has been prepared for me so that I'm not sacked as president. So the host and chairperson, Health and Social Services Sectoral Group, Dr. Pamela Ajayi, MCIOD, our esteemed discussants and health experts, members of the Governing Council, fellows and members of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, directors, executives, regulators, investors, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of the Governing Council and the entire membership of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, I'm pleased to welcome you to this advocacy webinar of our Health and Social Services Sectoral Group. I commend the Sectoral Group under the leadership of its chair, Dr. Pamela Ajayi, MCIOD, for convening this timely and highly relevant conversation. I also thank our distinguished expert discussants, seasoned professionals who have deep expertise in medicine, nutrition, lifestyle management, and wellness, for accepting to lend their voices to this important engagement. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in discussions on governance, we often focus on strategy, regulation, risk management, compliance, and performance. Yet one critical factor is frequently overlooked: the health of the directors themselves. Directors today operate under intense pressure. Board responsibilities have expanded significantly. Scrutiny is higher, decision cycles are shorter, and the consequences of error are increasingly severe. Long hours, sustained stress, frequent travel, sedentary lifestyles, and constant cognitive demands have become normalized. Over time, these pressures take a toll on physical health, mental clarity, emotional balance, and overall resilience. This is why the theme of today's webinar, Health Reset for Directors in 2026, is both strategic and necessary. From a governance perspective, directors' well-being is not a personal matter alone. It is a board effectiveness issue. Sound judgment, ethical leadership, risk oversight, and long-term value creation depend heavily on the physical and mental fitness of those entrusted with governance responsibilities. A fatigued, unwell, or burnt-out board cannot provide the quality of leadership that organizations and societies require. As we begin 2026 and beyond, it is clear that sustainable governance must be anchored not only on strong institutions and robust frameworks, but also on healthy, self-aware, and resilient directors. Preventive healthcare, lifestyle optimization, mental wellness, and age-appropriate health management are no longer optional. They are essential leadership tools. This webinar rightly seeks to highlight common health risks faced by directors, explore practical evidence-based strategies to improve well-being, and reinforce the undeniable link between personal health and effective board performance. These conversations are especially important as many directors navigate age-related health considerations while still carrying significant leadership responsibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria remains committed to promoting governance excellence in all its dimensions. Through advocacy, capacity building, and sector-focused engagement such as this, we continue to broaden the conversation on what effective leadership truly requires. Governance excellence must include the capacity to lead sustainably without sacrificing health, clarity, or longevity. I therefore encourage all participants to engage actively in this session, ask questions, reflect honestly, and most importantly, translate the insights gained here into practical action in your daily lives and boardroom engagements. In closing, I urge all of us to remember that healthy directors make better decisions. Better decisions strengthen organizations, and stronger organizations drive sustainable national development. On this note, I am pleased to declare this Health and Social Services Sectoral Group Advocacy webinar officially open, and I wish us all a productive, enlightened, and impactful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, President. I think, what can I say after that wonderful opening? But to say first that we all will stand on the protocols so beautifully established by our President, Otumba, and then to just take it forward. Today with us, we have three excellent professionals. We have with us Dr. Olukemi Quenin from Right Diagnostics. She is a seasoned general practitioner who trained in the UK We have Maja, who is the wellness coach from Eden Lifestyle. He is, in fact, I'm going to make sure he tells us his age as he comes on board. And then we also have Sharice Ijewere, who is a nutritionist who runs Carib Health. And very importantly, she actually focuses a lot on wellness and the natural way of doing things. It's all about preventive health. As you may know, all of you may know, the real, you know, issue that we have in Nigeria today is actually a very low life expectancy. And when we look at our directors at the CIoD, you find that most of us are actually within the age where, if according to Nigeria's life expectancy, many of us have passed it. And so the issues are, we're doing quite well to be here, but how do we sustain it? How do we make sure we carry on? And how do we make sure we live that healthy lifestyle and ensure we don't get burnt out with the, oppressive issues that we're facing in our economy today, the issues with the devaluation of the naira, the issues with the insecurity. There's so many challenges, AI, technology, there's so many things that are overwhelming in today's world. But what I want to do is that say that this webinar is here to give you hope and to help to focus you on what is important. The important thing to realize is that self-care is a priority. And as I go and as I talk to the different specialists that are here today, they will all give you insights into the most important things. One, I'll be talking to Dr. Quenin about lifestyle, about what we need to do to stay healthy, and also about burnout, which is something that is critical for us, in the management world and management cadre. I'll be talking to Maja about exercise and other critical aspects of keeping healthy, and of course, with to Cherise about what we eat. Let food be thy medicine is one of the quotations from very long ago, Hippocrates. So it is something that is very important that we actually focus on, and as we look at the overall importance of keeping ourselves well for ourselves, for our businesses, and of course, for our families. So without further ado, I'd like to call in Dr. Quenin and say, Dr. Quenin, if you don't mind, what I'm going to do, the process of this webinar is not to make it too formal. It's just to actually have more, it's more interactive because people like things that are interactive. So I'm going to talk to all the three, and I'll also give you where you can get more information from at the end of the webinar, but also to give people to open up, to give an opportunity for people to actually ask questions directly, things, pressing issues that they may have, or things that they may have learned or picked up on this webinar. So if I can just start with you, Dr. Quenin, I need to say thank you for coming on this webinar to share your knowledge with us. We really appreciate it. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, where you're based, and then also then kick off with, why does there need to be a health reset for anyone? And more importantly, why does there need to be a health reset for directors now in 2026?
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Pamela. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to the CIoD, the president. It's an honor to be here, to be able to talk and share some health insights. So my name is Dr. Olukemi Quenin. I'm a consultant family physician based here in Lagos, partly based in Lagos because I still work in the UK. I moved back officially from the UK about 10 years ago, and but retained my UK license. I run a clinic here in Lekki with my husband, and it's a family clinic. So like the GP you would visit in the UK, essentially a very similar clinic. But we also have diagnostics at the center. And that's a bit of my background. I'm also a first aid training instructor. So I'm also very passionate about first aid training, which is another hat I wear, because first aid really saves lives. But we're not here to talk about that today.
No.
So
So if you could
health
just,
reset.
yes.
Yes. So health reset, wow, extremely important and always a good thing to put on top of your list at the beginning of the year when you do your New Year health resolutions. I always encourage people to put health on that list. And the reason really is because most of us don't think about health. We go through life day in, day out, working, trying to earn money, trying to get the next deal. And I know for our directors on the on the call today, they all have very, very busy, important lives and making very important decisions. So health usually takes a back burner. So, and as the president kindly gave us an example of his own recent experience, illness doesn't can catch you unawares if you don't plan for it, if you don't prepare for it. So you have to put it as a priority. You have to think about it. You have to put it on the forefront because if you're not healthy, you can't do your work well. You can't make those important decisions. You can't lead a healthy life or even a long life. Illness often starts slowly. It gives warning signs. It gives warning signs. It doesn't just happen. People don't just suddenly drop dead. Although we see that that's what it looks like. Somebody suddenly slumped, somebody suddenly died. But actually, the illness or the health challenge would have started slowly, slowly. And we would have been given warning signs, which often are ignored because people are too busy they're chasing the next deal or the next meeting or, whatever it is that's important to them. And they forget that actually health should come before all of that. Because if you're not healthy, you can't do that job. And I often tell my patients who have very high pressure jobs that look, if anything happens to you today, people will be sad, people will mourn, people will cry, but eventually people will move on and you'll be replaced. So the key is to think about yourself first, and only you can think about your own health, as in, what do I need to do for my health to lead a long, sustainable life so that you can keep making those important decisions, keep in that job, and and be there for your family and friends. So I think the health reset is extremely important. If you haven't done it in the past, this is a great time to actually sit down, take notes. And the first thing is to actually take stock of where you are, then you know where you need to build on from there.
Thank you. So I think what you've actually said hit a very strong note. Recently, not in the, should I say not too recent past, a very prominent Nigerian, chair of a very big bank passed away suddenly, unexpectedly. And all of us, I must say, and I'm sure I speak for everybody, were shocked at how quickly he was replaced. How quickly he was replaced. Somebody you would have thought was irreplaceable. He was just replaced so quickly. At the end of the day, our lives, I think that for me was a huge wake-up call and say, you know what? Look after yourself. And that's what we're talking about with this health reset. So if we can ask you, Dr. Quenin, in terms of your own personal life, what kind of reset things have you done personally? And what are the kinds of things you're talking about? How should our directors start looking at a reset in 2026? What are some of the common conditions that people of our age and stage usually have? And how can they, make those first initial steps to recognizing what it is they have and taking it further?
Perfect, perfect. So before I get into that, I actually have a poll. I think this will be a good time to share that poll quickly. It's just a few questions.
Okay.
And that will just give me an idea of how people are in our audience today. And then we'll talk on that topic in more detail.
Thank you. It's
So I'll
very
be really
interactive.
grateful if you could all answer. It's anonymous, so please answer.
Please answer. We on the panel can't really, answer, but it's important we get a feedback from you to as it were, customize this session to the people who are on the call, make it more relevant for you. I don't know how many minutes we have for this, maybe just 1 minute. It's just 4 questions, a quick question. Do you have your own family physician? Yes, no. Do you have regular screens done? Meaning, do you have it once a year or once in 2 years? Not once in 10 years, once in 1, 2 years. I don't know if I can even stretch to 3 years, but please, not that I had this thing 10 years ago and I'll be doing it next year. That doesn't count. That's a no. So have you had your blood pressure taken in the last 6 months? Important. Do you have regular break times during your working day? And that's, I'm not sure how many people can say yes to that because once we enter the office, there's so much going on. Please. I don't know. I think
Absolutely.
by now we should have had
I think we have
we should have finished
56%
if we
of people
can.
have answered.
How many people?
About 56% of
That's
people
good
have
enough.
answered.
Okay, that's good enough.
So
There's
that's fine.
68
We
people here.
can, yeah. So thank you for answering those questions. So let's get into it. The first thing before you can do a reset is to know where you are, where's your starting point. And the person that can help you get your starting point is your consultant family physician. You have to have your own family doctor. About half of you have that. The other half of those that answered don't really have. So most important thing is get your doctor. And the reason I say that is in Nigeria, we tend to kind of do it upside down. You will wait till you're ill. When you're ill, you might have chest pain and go, right, I need to see a cardiologist. Or I have a headache, I need to see a neurologist. I have tummy ache, I need to see a gastroenterologist. It's the completely wrong way to do it. Completely wrong way. Because the cardiologist will look at you for your chest pain, but he will be looking at your heart. And he will say, yeah, your heart is fine. I've checked you. You're fine. But your pain may not have gone. And actually, the pain may not be coming from your heart. It may be coming from your tummy, maybe coming from your back. All sorts of things can present in all sorts of ways. It is your family physician that can tie it all together. The family physician is a generalist. They study everything and they can tie in the symptoms you present with to tell you the most likely diagnosis and then refer you on if you need to. Most things you don't actually need a secondary care specialist for. Your family physician can manage. And once they get to their limit, they will then say, right, at this point, you need to see a surgeon or a cardiologist or whoever. If you do it the other way around, you end up seeing lots of specialists and you may not get the solution to your problem, one. Two, you'll have your records all over the place. There's no one that knows the whole you. Your family physician needs to know the whole you. When did you last, when were you last prescribed medication? He will know that you had a fall maybe 2 years ago. He may know you've had a CT scan in the past. He may know that you have a family history of heart disease. All the individual doctors you see in different hospitals will not know this. Your family physician keeps all your records and ties it all together. So that's extremely important. That's the first thing I would advocate for is have your trusted family doctor. Find one that you
So for
trust and that you will stick with. Very important. Don't shop around and test this one and test that one. Because trust me, if you take 10 doctors and you ask them the same question, you get different answers.
yeah,
But
I
it
think
doesn't mean they're all wrong.
yes, I
We
think it's
all just,
important because there are
yeah,
about half of them who did not.
yeah,
So I do not have a physician. So if you don't have a family physician, it's just important you get there.
really
So for the
important.
next one,
Yeah, so the next thing, of course, is having your regular health screens. And I love this. Most of you are having this done, which is fantastic. I think a lot of
well,
companies provide
for
this.
me, it's actually
80%.
not so fantastic. It is fantastic and not so fantastic. It's fantastic in that people here are clearly very aware. But then again, for me, it also reflects a problem. The people who are not aware of their health and are not aware of the importance of screens and having their health are not on this program and they need to be here. If you look at how many people we have in the CIoD, currently we have 68 participants. We need the people who are not taking care of their health are actually more. They need it more than those who actually have
Absolutely.
started. But we want to
Abs
say well done to those. That's 79%, 80% that are doing them.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
way to go. But we have to find a way of actually connecting with the people who have not yet understood how important healthcare is to them. Please carry
Absolutely,
on.
absolutely. You're right then. We find that most people that actually come for their health screens regularly are often the well ones. We often don't find anything, or we find things early and we treat. Because you come regularly, we find things early, we treat. So you never run into those problems. The people that we find, get into problems are people that are not checking, or they've not checked in 5 years, or they did it once ages ago and they can't remember. So it's important to also tell your colleagues, share with your colleagues about having health screens regularly. I think also the environment, the work environment, it can be encouraged. Some offices have regular health talks. They might organize something every year. that just keeps health at the forefront in your company or organization. That question ties in nicely with the second question on blood pressure, and I'm happy to see that 91% of you have had your blood pressure checked. Now, a lead-up question to that, which I did not ask, is if your blood pressure was high, what are you doing about it? Because that's a complex question. High blood pressure is extremely common in Nigeria, extremely. From the age of about 30, younger people have high blood pressure. A lot of it is tied to stress levels, cardiovascular disease, family history. So not just knowing your blood pressure, but what are you doing about it? Do not ignore a high blood pressure. Please, 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 if there's anything you take away from me today, do not ignore your high blood pressure, because that is the only warning you will get to a cardiovascular event. If your blood pressure is
And
high,
what is a cardiovascular event?
a cardiovascular event is like a stroke or heart attack. Those things that make people slump suddenly or die suddenly, they've usually had a cardiovascular event. And most times, blood pressure is one of the biggest drivers of those. If you have a high blood pressure and you've been told to take medication, please take it. Blood pressure medication only works when you're taking it. If you don't take it, your blood pressure will go back up. So often people will come to me and go, yes, I was prescribed these drugs once upon a time, but my blood pressure came down. And so I stopped the drugs. It doesn't work like that.
In fact, there's I actually also want to tell people, please go to our Doctors on Air official YouTube channel, because we have some very interesting programs on it. We have something on the Big Reset. We also have something on burnout and balance, which talks a lot about blood pressure and blood pressure issues. So even if you can go in there and subscribe, please share with people who you know should be on this call and are not there, so that we actually get the message out to people who need to have it. Unfortunately, we still need to talk to two other people. So I don't know if I could just jump in right here and ask you, Dr. Quenin, to talk to us a bit about burnout.
Great, burnout, yeah. And that leads nicely to the last two questions, actually. So burnout, I think we all have an idea of what burnout is. If you Google it, it'll tell you what it is. It's essentially exhaustion, but not just normal exhaustion, physical, mental, psychological exhaustion. You're emotional, you're just tired. You can't do anything, you can't move again. You feel irritable all the time. You can't sleep. You just basically crash. Essentially, when people crash and they're just, they can't function on a normal basis. That is what burnout is. Now, burnout is common in your population, directors, very important people who have high power jobs, making lots of important decisions, going to lots of meetings, traveling a lot. Your lifestyle is the perfect recipe for burnout, actually. So what you have to do is actually think about it. Hang on, I'm at risk for burnout. So what do I do to not get burnt out? You cannot not go for the meetings, right? The meetings are there. You have to attend the meetings. You cannot not go on that trip that's been scheduled for you. You have to go on the trips. You have to attend all the meetings. You have to do. So what practically can I do to actually say, you know what, I must avoid burning out? The first thing is you need to plan your week. And that leads nicely to the questions, my last two questions. Break times. Most people work through the whole day. They wake up in the morning, maybe 6, 5 a.m., and they're working till 10 o'clock at night. It's not healthy. You need a break. The break just kind of, and when I say break, I don't mean a break where you're still on your phone, you're still answering emails, you're eating with your emails. No, no, no. Break is actually maybe going for a walk, leave the office, walk away from your desk, leave the phone behind, where you actually get time to clear your brain without thinking about work. Very important. 2, sleep. And I think this last question.
We're all guilty here.
Yes, 18%, which I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at this. I get this a lot. And this is probably the second takeaway for everyone is sleep must be addressed. Sleep causes a lot of issues, a lot. Lack of sleep. So adults need minimum 7 hours to function adequately. If you're not sleeping well, you're sleep deprived. Not only will you be more exhausted during the day, you're going to be more irritable. Your brain is not going to be as clear. You will have brain fog, but you're also putting yourself at risk of cardiovascular disease, believe it or not, because when you're not sleeping, the body doesn't have enough time to repair. Inflammation will go up in the body. That can put you at risk of, even diabetes, cardiovascular disease, mood disturbances, and all that. So sleep is important. Ensure you're sleeping regularly. Yes, you'll have the odd day where maybe you had a late night, you're going to sleep for a short period, but it shouldn't be on a regular basis. You have to prioritize sleep. You have to prioritize your breaks. Extremely important. You're all busy, but guess what? Even me as a doctor, busy as a family physician, unless I'm working in accident and emergency, there's nothing that cannot wait 30 minutes or an hour. There's absolutely nothing. Unless you're dealing with a life-threatening situation, the person is about to die, you can actually have a break. Think about it. You can actually have a break in your day. Pause for 30 minutes is not long. An hour is not long. We spend so much time on our phones, social media, TikTok. For those people that are into social media, an hour goes like that. But take it as a break. Don't work through
We'll
your break
talk.
time.
Yeah, I think we're going to have an opportunity to talk to Maja, who's also going to tell us how to use those breaks constructively. So
Fantastic.
if I can say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Quenip, if you can just hold on, I'm sure we'll have some questions for you. So we'll move over to Maja now. Maja Aida, who is a wellness coach at Eden Lifestyle. Maja, if you can join us. On the session. I want to say thank you for coming on. And also, I'd like you to, first of all, because a lot of people maybe they can't see you very well, but understanding your physique. Unfortunately, we can't see your physique here, but you have beautiful physique for your age. And a lot of people, might not realize that it is possible to look good, to be healthy. You don't have to be overweight and sluggish and, run down just because you're older. So if you can tell us about, your what healthy reset means to you and why it's so important that our directors really look into what you're talking about in 2026.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. That was lovely. No pressure. But yes, I am a wellness coach. It's a real privilege to be here. I've been practicing for about 12 years now here in Nigeria, and we provide services to organizations around the country, give employees access to employee assistance programs, 24-hour mental health support, amongst other things. And I'm also a mental health advocate. I'll put it that way. And I do, as much as possible, try to practice what I preach, which Dr. Pamela has so kindly highlighted in my appearance. I'm 53 years old, and I've been, in the last 2-3 years, been very intentional about movement, about activity and its importance. And the reset is something that I'm very happy that this is what's happening with your organization and that you're deciding to do this. But I will always say that the reset can happen anytime, at any point in your life. It doesn't need to be a new year. It could be a new month. It could be a new week, a new day, a new hour. You can reset and take control of your life, because ultimately your wellness, your health is your responsibility. It's no one else's. And if you are outsourcing that and looking outside of yourself, you're on a long thing, as they say, because it's down to the choices that you make. It's down to the daily practice. And your habits on a day-to-day basis are the low-key superheroes in your life when it comes to longevity. And it's not because of one big dramatic choice that you make, but it's the quiet things that you do every day that matter, that makes a difference. The good habits like regular movement, like balanced eating, like quality sleep, things that have already been highlighted, like stress management. These things keep inflammation down, regulate your blood sugar, keep your blood pressure down, keep it all in check. And over decades, over time, this dramatically lowers the risk of heart disease, of diabetes, of cognitive decline, which is something that
Sorry,
is
cognitive decline, for those who don't know, is dementia. Getting dementia, losing your, you know.
exactly our ability to recall things, remember things, make decisions quickly. It all declines. Look, we all know as you get older, your body starts to fight you. and you have to fight back, and you have to protect yourself as much as possible, protect your brain as well as your body. And this again comes down to the consistent habits that you do and you make and you choose on a day-to-day basis. These things that will help you actually become routine and help reduce decision fatigue and chronic stress. Part of the stresses of life are because we're not grounded in routines and habits. And I mean, this is something I have discovered
Yes.
recently, actually, in the
So
journey.
if you
Sorry.
can share with us directly now, Maja,
Hmm.
what are the kinds of habits? We're talking about the big reset, and we've also identified that this health reset, the big reset, is not just about making big changes or making big declarations that this year I'm going to, do X and Y. It's about the smaller things that we change, the
All little things.
consistency, the resilience that we can put into our lives. So can you tell us from the exercise perspective, because you are a specialist in this area, what are the kind of habits, the simple habits that as directors we can make to make that difference in our lives in the long term? Because we all hear the word longevity. Everybody wants
Yes.
to live long. But what are we doing to make ourselves live long? And how can you help us in this short term to get it right?
Sure, sure, sure. So longevity isn't something that is built overnight. It's built over time. It's built in decades. It's built in daily activities like your daily walks, good hydration, your night routine, all these little habits. But the true magic is in movement. Movement is just like food is medicine, movement is medicine, regular movement, consistent movement. And it's something that I put to the test last year, 2025, within myself to say, okay, I am going to move a certain amount every single day without fail. And at the end of the year, pick the results. And I have seen the results, and I'm very happy with the results. And I'll give you guys a little insight into that. It's about spreading out your activity and movements throughout the day. I speak to a lot of people and I ask them, hey, how regularly do you walk? Oh, I walk every day. I do 3Ks every day. I do 10K steps every day. When do you do that? Oh, I do my walks in the morning or I do my walks in the evening. What about the rest of the day? How active are you throughout the day? How much movement do you engage in throughout the day? That's when the rooms tend to get a little quieter. People are not active enough. So the real hack is in consistency of movement throughout the day. So we're talking about regular movement. We're talking about strength training, which I break down into micro workouts. You can strength train in so many different ways that do not require you to set the barrier of going to the gym. A lot of people defer it to going to the gym and end up not doing anything at all. Oh, when I joined the gym, when I go, oh, there was too much traffic today. What do you do at home? What do you do in the workspace? Are you intentional about that? So this is where the teachings come in. All right. You teach yourself how to strength train. I could teach you how to strength train regularly throughout the day. So I'll just give you guys a brief hack, which my colleagues already know about. All right. And it's to divide your day into 4 quarters. Okay, this is a walking protocol, and the most important thing that you can do is start to track your movement through wearables. I mean, this amazing device was invented for us, like an Apple Watch, or the Aura rings, things that can track your movement so you know how many steps you're getting in the day, how many calories you're burning, how much sleep you are getting, and start paying close attention to this. So if you can divide your day into 4 quarters, and you start to track how much movement you're doing within those quarters. So, take for example, in the morning, I'll set you a target. Your target is to walk 1 kilometer in that quarter, and you split that into 4 quarters. So, you're doing 1 kilometer every day. That could mean micro walks. How do you achieve that as a busy individual? Simple. You start to habit stack. All right. Habit stacking is when you attach a healthy habit like walking to something that you already do regularly. So, take, for example, in the mornings, You brush your teeth in the morning. That is a habit. That's not something you have to think about. Why not attach movement to that? So when you finish brushing your teeth, you do a 500-meter walk. You do 20 squats. You do 50 jumping jacks. And pick one, pick anyone, something that involves movement. During the day, you're somebody that is quite busy. You're on the phone a lot. Attach walking to being on the phone. Every single phone call you get in the workspace, at home, you are on your feet, you are walking around, tracking your steps. You'll be surprised. I've had phone calls where I was tracking it and I've ended up walking 2 to 3 kilometers in circles in my office space, in my bedroom, or even taking a walk in my estate, wherever it may be. I also attach movement to things that I have to do. So a lot of you directors are quite busy. You travel a lot. And I know that travel days, movement declines. Suddenly, everything's out the window. Oh, I couldn't achieve this today because I was traveling today. I attach movement even to my travel plan. So I'm in the airport. There is no waiting room that I'll be sitting down. I'm standing up, I'm moving around, I'm walking around, I'm tracking my steps. Baggage claim, waiting for my bags to come out. It takes 10 minutes for the bags to come out. I've done 1 kilometer walking in that time in the long space of the airport. So there are all sorts of spaces and places that you can attach movement to if you start being intentional about it. These things have a direct impact. Movement has a direct impact and is directly connected to longevity. So I think I will pause there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think that
Sure.
at least is one habit. I think anybody who wants more can contact you at Eden Lifestyle to get more information about it. If I can talk to Charisse. Charisse, are you there?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, and thank you so much for being with us today. I think just if you can, share who you are, what you do, and tell us what, in your own words, are the kind of resets that we as directors could start in 2026 that would make a major impact on our health.
Okay, thank you for having me and the privilege to be on today. Of course, health, nutrition, wellness, so important, so vital that we take it as a priority. My name is Charisse Ejaweri. I am a nutrition consultant, a gut health practitioner, and a lifestyle medicine practitioner. And so I run a practice with my husband in Ikoyi, a wellness-centered practice where we focus on wellness and also helping to reverse ailments. In terms of reset, especially for our directors, we are looking at your nutrition, your nourishment. How do we actually reset the body? And some of the ways one can reset can be to
Actually,
pay.
sorry if I can interrupt. Before we go into
Yes.
ways to reset, what are the common kind of conditions you find in people like us before you can then tell us how to solve those problems nutritionally?
Okay. Maybe I should start with the poll. Let me
Ah,
just start with the poll really quick. It's
beautiful.
3 questions.
I love polls, very interactive. Please, can you put it up?
Thank you.
Okay, so here we have another poll. So if we can ask our distinguished attendees to please start off. The first question is, how intentional is your daily nutrition during a typical work week? I don't know whether you want to explain what you mean by what is intentional. Is it when you eat when it's convenient? Whether you don't think, nutrition isn't a priority, you
So
eat whatever you
intentional.
get. And then I think somewhat intentional is I try, but what gets in the way? And the person who says, you know what, I've planned my week ahead, I've got everything, available. I've made sure that my cook or my wife or myself has prepared the meal and it's balanced, etc. The second one, which factor most disrupts your nutrition as an executive? Is it having meetings? Is it travel? What are the areas? What's the problems? Why is it that you can't get what you need to get done about your food done? Pick the most important factor for you. Then the third one, which nutrition focus would you think would most improve your performance in 2026? And I think if we've done that, I don't know how many people. Cherise, can you see how many people have, is it up to 50% of the people?
I can't
Oh,
see anything on
can't
my
see.
side.
Okay. Well, since you can't see, I think that you need to make her a co-host or a host so she can see that information. Okay, there we have it. It's come up now. So here we have, how intentional are you with your daily nutrition? Very intentional, 28%, somewhat intentional, 56%, reactive, I eat what's convenient, 9%, and neglected, 6%. So again, I think take it from here. I think we have a very responsible set of people here on the call. Please carry on.
Yes, it sounds like many people want to be in that intentional zone, but maybe lack of planning causes you not to be intentional. And so what I see in my office is people will say they feel fine, but they're slowly burning out metabolically. So some of the things we look out for with food habits quietly harming the health would be snacking, you're snacking on groundnuts or chin chin, being mindless eaters. You don't really know what you've eaten for the day. Some people will say they haven't really eaten, but when you actually take a look at things, they're snacking all through the day, always on a go. Uh, Eating mostly convenient foods. These are things that harm the health. Maybe drinking your calories, sweet beverages, alcohol, and eating late at night. We find that many people are eating late or just having emotional eating patterns. You're stressed, you're unhappy, or not meeting deadlines, and then the first thing you turn to is food. And some of the physical clues that we see is belly weight gain, belly fat, poor sleep. Many executives complain of low libido, no morning glory, no interest, frequently being ill, digestive issues, and of course, the list just goes on and on. And so this moves us into the second question. Can we put the poll back so we can just see the second question? Okay, which factor mostly disrupts your nutrition as an executives? And it seems like for most people, it's the time constraints, the meetings, which means that one needs to plan ahead. Most executives have a chef, they have helpers, they have an assistant. So delegating, whether it's the time table for your meals, or just taking your meals to work with you. That way you're not unprepared. And then number 3, it's gone again. Okay, thank you. Three, which nutrition focus would most people, it was a split between metabolic health, weight, blood sugar, and then stress resilience and sleep support. And to this, I say that wellness is a holistic approach. So it's not just about food, but just as we have our family physician on, we have our wellness coach, exercise coach, all of this we need to marry together. Be intentional with the timing that you want to go to bed. Set the room with a hygiene for sleep, having it cool, maybe some essential oils, and ensuring that your last meal is your lightest meal. So intermittent fasting also helps a great deal. And that's where you're eating within a short window. It might be 10 to 6 within 8 hours, or it might be 12 to 6. And we find that when this is implemented, it helps many executives get back on track. And also just to reset, that reset can also look like detoxing, just giving yourself a juice form or a raw food form, just focusing on helping excrete toxins out of the body.
Something I should have said earlier, which I forgot to mention, was that people should please put their questions in the chat. but we'll give an opportunity for people to raise their hands and I don't know if it's something that's possible, but please put your questions in the chat. If you have any questions for Dr. Quenin, any questions for Maja, and any questions for Cherise at the moment, please put your questions in the chat. So you've talked a lot, and I think at the beginning of the year, I mean, detox is a big thing. And what I'd like to say is everybody wants to do detox. I did a detox. I lost weight and I gained weight back again. So, people then say, this detox of a thing, does it work? What's the point in doing the detox to lose a bit of weight only to gain it back again? What can we do that's consistent and that will really, that will take us from January to December? So in December, we're looking better than we did in January. I don't know, I'm sure I speak for a lot of people here when I'm saying this.
So that keyword, Dr. Pamela, is consistent. So when one does the detox, the mindset behind it is, yes, we're flushing out the toxins, you're losing a bit of water weight, but what will happen after the detox? Do you have a plan, a meal plan, or an approach that you're using where we're using half of your plate with vegetables, ensuring that you're having your protein? Because of course, protein at every meal helps with your energy, your appetite control, your mental stability, hydration. So just having some check boxes that you're being mindful and intentional about. And then if you are snacking within your eating window, because the consistency is key, is your snacks would either be a fruit snack or seeds or nuts. So we're trying as much as possible and taking things day by day, eliminating processed foods, and that's like all those maybe chips or any fried foods, just sticking with a wellness plan along with the exercise and practicing to pause before eating. So sometimes one will just reach out for something and you have to pause and ask yourself, am I hungry? Am I stressed? Do I just need water or do I just need rest? So just being in that practice mode and knowing that it's not a bus stop, that we're constantly on this journey. And if we fall off, we pick up and get back on track.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sharice. I don't know if the others can then also just put on their cameras so we can get into the question and answer session. And again, please, if anybody has any questions, they should put it on the group. I have a first question, which is for Dr. Quenin, and that is, at what age do people need to start doing regular checkups and screenings? Because a lot of people think they're too young.
Thank
We do
you.
have some very young directors. We have tech startups and so on. So we have some young directors. Do they need to start doing these screens that you old people do? I think what they call you people, Gen X and baby boomers, that they want to know if they, as millennials and so on, need to actually start.
Absolutely, absolutely. So health screens, we actually have health screens for children at our center. We have health screens for children, but the ones we're really talking about, I advocate from adulthood, be that 18 or 21, the young ones should be checking because you know what, you're teaching them to prioritize their health. Their health is important. And young people do get illnesses, and we're finding of recent times that cancer is increasing in the young. Cancer used to be a disease of old people. That is no longer the case. We now see a lot of cancers in young people. So health is across board. It's for everyone. Depending on your medical profile, your doctor will then target specifically what tests you need, depending on your age. So the older you are, they may be prioritizing more cardiovascular disease, more cancers. But as I said, cancers now affect young people. And if you're younger, they'll be looking at different things. There's something we hadn't really touched on called family history. There are some certain conditions that run in the family, and no matter what age you are, you'll be affected. So cholesterol is a classic one. Some families have a history of high cholesterol. no matter your weight, no matter how much you exercise, you eat well, your cholesterol will be high. And there's a genetic driver to that. If you test when you're young, you'll pick it up early, and then you'll be advised on how to manage that as you get older so that it doesn't become a problem for you later on. So I advocate health screens for all adults from a young age. And as I say, we do have packages for children that's targeted to children.
Yes, and I actually want to
Hope that
buttress
answers
that
the
fact.
question.
Thank you. I want to
Sorry?
buttress that fact with the fact that just, for World Cancer Day, which was yesterday, I had a 29-year-old cancer survivor of stage 3 or stage 4 colon cancer. I mean, this is the cancer
Yeah.
at stage 3, stage 4 was detected at age 29. Unfortunately, there's so many pollutants, there's so many things in our environment that are causing, and also the difference, bad food. The fact is that we are exposed to a lot more triggers for cancer, and it's important that people are aware of this going forward. So thank you for that. I think it's important that people know there's no age that is too young to start looking after yourself and making self-care a priority. So if I can then just pop over to you, Maja. Many people say I don't have time for my health. How much would you say is, you know, of our issues are due to poor health, how lack of exercise and so on, you know? In your work, what unhealthy habits do most people struggle to admit that they have?
Mm. Um, Very good question. There would be three things that I would identify. It's a lack of exercise, poor food choices, and lack of sleep. Those are the three main things that usually people highlight. And I think that the majority, I would say 80% of our health issues are down to the choices that we make every day, day-to-day choices. I would love the medical folks on this call to argue with me on that one.
No, no, definitely. In fact, that's what we're here for.
Yes,
Talk
exactly.
about
So
resetting
I
those
agree with
choices
you.
and making a
absolutely.
difference.
So
So, do
so
we have
the,
any questions? Do we have any questions for people to respond to, or for us to respond to as a team? Anyone? Mrs. Agbato, Dr. Agbato, Dr. Alausa, anybody at the top, or anybody on the group? Do you have any questions for us? Okay. So if we don't have any questions, I know we're past the 1 hour time. Do we continue opening it up, or do we close it down and then have our
Dr. Palmer, at the end, I would want to make a comment. So please
okay.
keep that in mind. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
beautiful. Okay, so let me then just go around and say, would just to give everyone on the call an opportunity to just say a few last words, starting with you, Dr. Quenin, any last words, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I think the last point, or maybe emphasizing similar points we've all made, is um, really, really, your health is in your hands. You need to make those right decisions for yourself. Remember, how you treat yourself, treat your body, is what the result you'll get eventually. The body keeps score. If you don't eat well, if you don't exercise, like we've heard, exercise is extremely key. We're learning that more and more, that exercise is extremely key. We teach, when we're all at school, everyone does sports, we all do PE. And then somehow, once we get to adulthood, sports kind of drops down and is no longer emphasized. And it shouldn't be the case. We should be keeping active through our lives. The body keeps score, remember it, and
Okay,
always prioritize your sleep. That would be the last thing I say. That sleep
thank you.
is so key. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maja?
I would say that making your your health, turning it and converting it into habits is probably the most important thing that you can do. Because when healthy choices are habitual, you don't rely on motivation, which fades. Motivation fades. Structure, which a lot of you work with in the workspace. You rely on structure, and that's why habits will all outlive willpower. From a goal into a so do make healthy habits a priority in your life, because you could have all the problems in the world. When your health fails, you have one problem and nothing else matters. I'd rather
Okay,
take
so
99 problems than that one problem.
fantastic. Charisse, your last words?
Yes, stay committed to your health and know that it's not about perfection. It's about the daily habits, just quietly building these habits and being consistent. And of course, diversifying your meals, things in season, put them all in.
Okay. So then if we can then just take our last message from our president, Otumba.
Very much, Dr. Palmer.
Yes?
There are questions on the chat board, and the first vice has also posted a question. There are questions in the chat box.
Okay, they came in late. I was asking for questions and they didn't send them in. So that's why I was closing. Okay, let me go into the chat box. Maybe sorry for asking you to wrap up and then people are sending questions afterwards. But we have, I think, 3 questions now, so let's take them. The first one is breakfast the most important meal in the day, namely before you set out for work, or is intermittent fasting better for you? This is for you, Charisse. Then people leave early for work. Is it advisable to do exercise in the evening before going to bed? That's for you, Maja. And I think the last one is people, how do you stay motivated? Again, Maja. So how do you stay motivated to exercise regularly? And is it advisable you exercise in the morning or in the evening? If you could just respond quickly. And then to you, Charisse, what meal is best and what about intermittent fasting?
Okay.
Okay.
Charisse, please go ahead.
Okay, so when it comes to intermittent fasting, from experience and over our patient role, we see that intermittent fasting is actually better for you, knowing that when you break your fast, that's the breaking of the fast for the day. So whether you want to break it at 10 or break it at noon, that fasting helps your metabolic rate. It actually wakes up the body. You're fasting and it helps to also detox the body at the same time. So you want to break with something that's very nutrient dense.
Okay, thank you. Maja?
Whether it's better to exercise in the morning or in the evening, I think that really just depends on your lifestyle, your schedule, and what your preference is. Some people are morning people, some people are too burnt out at the end of the day to exercise. So it's a personal preference, but the real goal is to have a certain amount of minutes of exercise a day. So you set yourself your target and you make it a consistent. That is what you ground yourself in. Daily movement for 30 to 60 minutes a day. Try to be progressive as well. You can start with 30 minutes, and as you make this a daily habit, you progress it down through the year to 60 minutes a day. So how you want to break that up, that's up to you.
Thank you.
And whether you should, I think the second question was exercising before bedtime.
Yes, they said.
Sorry, how to motivate.
How do you stay motivated?
How do you stay motivated? You stay motivated by forgetting about motivation and making it into a habit. I'll just keep saying that again. Habits are what ground you. Motivation fades. I don't believe in motivation at all. So you just have consistent habits that you stick to that are non-negotiables and are low-hanging fruits, like walking and daily movement and strength training.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for also taking the questions after we closed. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. So if we can go on to Otumba Vibanji for your comments, please.
All right. Well, first, let me thank you, Dr. Palmer, and your group, your sectoral group, for putting this together. Like I did say earlier, we have a lot of important sounding initiatives that we do every day, all the time in the Institute. And somehow, we don't focus enough on our health. And the interesting thing is if the health breaks down, then all those initiatives themselves break down. I'll tell you a very quick story again. There was once many years ago, the MD of my company came to visit our branch office, and I met him at the door, and I was going to the clinic because I was unwell. And I said good morning to him, and I said I was going to the clinic because I wasn't feeling too good. And after I'd taken about 5 steps, he said, wait a minute. By the way, who is going to be doing your job when you go to the clinic? But that thing has stuck with me for maybe 15, 20 years now, because I said to myself, you mean if I go to the clinic and I suddenly drop dead there, he's already talking about who will be doing my job just because I was going to the clinic. So I think we all need to take this very much to heart. I suspect that some of the silence we went through was because people were ticking off in their brains in how many of the areas they have defaulted and how much they need to do to get themselves back on track. I would like to appeal to the group not to relent. We can talk about specific ailments. Again, part of the things that we've spoken about, cardiovascular, some of these things in greater detail. So there's a lot to talk about. And I'd like to appeal to the sectorial group, to keep this flowing. It doesn't have to be big and dramatic. Another thing that would be helpful would be maybe periodic health tips that the sectorial group can share with the secretariat, and they can share with members on a very regular basis. Also, when it comes to topical issues, I don't want to use the word epidemics, but if there are health issues, health warnings that come up that you would like members of the Institute to be aware of, it would also be another area where we would look to your sectorial group for assistance. So again, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank the speakers, and I'd like to thank all the members who turned up to take part in this event. So don't let me do the official thank you. That's left to you.
Yes, I think thank you very much for that. I also want to say a special thank you to our Vice President, Mrs. Oyakbola, who came in, and our DG, Dr. Alausa, who is also on the call. As I hand over for the vote of thanks to Diola Agbato, Dr. Diola Agbato, I want to also say that we do have a program which is called Doctors on Air, which is on Classic FM every Wednesday morning. Please, as you're calling into work in the morning, just tune in. If you can't tune in, we now have a YouTube channel, which is called Doctors on Air Official. It's all free, but it's just a way of getting that information on board. And if you have a friend, what we will try and do is do more of these. If you have a friend who should have been on this call or this webinar and wasn't there, please tell them, you missed something this week. Please make sure you join the next one and try and encourage others, because I know the people who came on this call today are serious about their health. We want people to just encourage others so that they can take it seriously. So we're not, attending another funeral in X months or Y months' time. We want to make sure we try and keep ourselves healthy and fit for ourselves, our families, and our organizations as well. Thank you very much. Dr. Adiola Agbato.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. President, and the speakers for a very insightful session. I'll be giving the vote of thanks on behalf of Dr. Taiwo's Nolas Alausa, MITD, MCIOD, Director General and Chief Executive Officer, Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, at the Health and Social Services Sectoral Group Advocacy webinar today, Thursday, February 5, 2026. The chief host, Otumba Adetunji Oyebanji, FCIOD, President and Chairman of the Governing Council, CIoD Nigeria, the host and chairperson, Health and Social Services Sectoral Group, Dr. Pamela Ajayi, MCIOD, esteemed panelists and health experts, Dr. Olukemi Kwenin, Mr. Maje Aida, and Mrs. Cherise Ijewere, members of the Governing Council, fellows and members of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, directors, executives, regulators, investors, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Governing Council, the management, and the entire membership of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, I wish to express my sincere appreciation for the success of this health. I'm grateful to our distinguished moderator and host, Dr. Pamela Ajayi, MCIOD, and to our respected panelists, Mr. Maje Aida, Mrs. Cherise Ijewere, and Dr. Kemi Kwenin, for their rich practical and evidence-based contributions. Your insights have powerfully reinforced the truth that leadership effectiveness begins with personal well-being, and that sound governance cannot be sustained on compromised health. Today's discussions remind us that health is not a distraction from leadership responsibilities. Rather, it is the foundation upon which clarity, judgment, resilience, and ethical decision-making are built. As the saying goes, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and no director can consistently deliver value when physical, mental, or emotional reserves are depleted. I also commend the chairman and members of the Health and Social Services Sectoral Group for their foresight, dedication, and professionalism in organizing this timely program. By placing director well-being at the center of governance discourse, the sectoral group has demonstrated true thought leadership and responsiveness to the realities facing today's boardrooms. To our fellows, members, and participants, thank you for your active participation, insightful questions, and continued confidence in the Institute as a platform for meaningful advocacy. Your engagement today affirms that the future of governance must be both strategic and humane. As an institute, we remain steadfast in our commitment to advancing holistic governance excellence, recognizing that strong institutions require healthy leaders. The knowledge shared in this webinar will inform us of our ongoing advocacy, capacity building initiatives, and sectoral engagements. In the words of Peter Drucker, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Today's conversation allows us to create a future where governance, excellence, and personal well-being go hand in hand. Before we conclude, I kindly encourage all participants to complete the feedback survey that will pop up immediately after now. Your feedback is vital to strengthening our programs and deepening the impact of our advocacy efforts. Once again, thank you all for your time, your contributions, and your unwavering support of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria. Thank you, Dr. Taiwo Nolas Alausa, MITD, FCIOD, Director General and Chief Executive Officer, Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, I think we probably need Dr. Pamela Ajayi back.
Thank you so
Yes,
much,
sir.
everyone, for being here. Thank you, everyone. We will do more of this.
Yes,
Thank you
please.
very much.
Many more. Many more. Thank you so
Thank you.
much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Feedback will come after exiting the call. Thank you.